some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just
Hey guys, it's Mo and it is it is Wednesday. I love that I have to count on my fingers because some days I just forget what day it is. Yes, I do pretend to be a functional, human being on certain days, but not ones that end with Y. I hope you guys are having a great morning. We have a lot of news to get through. Welcome Photo Lady and Jeffrey Montgomery and Wolfram for all your Modly Mod duties. 80s Music Man, Colorado Mountain Girl, Tammy C.A., Granny Smith, and thank goodness, and Alice G, that they have changed the names back so I know who you guys are, which it is a little bit hard to figure out when they change the names. RJNLC, welcome. So just a quick small promotional plug. I will be doing the Brian Coberger stream with Baker. Full acknowledgement that I have not done any deep diving into this case. I am super late to the party, but it is big news and it is a big case that I was looking at possibly covering just from the perspective of someone who has not gotten into the case. So we will be covering that. Welcome Audio Coffee. And our first story actually involves Coberger. So Brian Coberger's former criminology professor wants to study him and learned how he completely fooled her. Now, if you are at all interested in true crime, you have seen this woman on various documentaries and things like that, talking about the behavior and psychology of, criminals. It is interesting that, and again, I have not deep dived into this case, but if he was able to fool someone who is a renowned expert as to his sociopathy or psychopathy, which I know there's a difference because they're two different words, but I'm not a doctorologist. But she has definitely been sort of a big figure in this particular circle. A forensic psychology professor and former advisor for Brian Coberger has mused about how the alleged killer of 4 Idaho University co-eds could be a subject of her next study. And welcome, Anime Marpier, or what have you. I always know that I can't, pronounce names because with dyslexia and me just shuffling letters around, I have to go do the clap thing from kindergarten, like Anime Rumpier. That being said, welcome. I graduated before No Child Left Behind is my only excuse, and I cling to it. Good morning, Jim. I am thinking about covering Soto. Baker and I have been looking at this point. There isn't anything set up. It might be a closed hearing or one that's not going to be streamed. So we are looking at it. I have a thumbnail if we can find it. But because of some of the things they might have to discuss, it might not be streamed. That being said, I do plan to do a bit of a deep dive if you guys are okay with it. I know kid cases are not everyone's jam, but I feel like part of my channel is to shine a light on monsters, name and shame them, and he is a giant daggone monster. Now, Katherine Ramsland, a professor of criminal justice at DeSale University, opened up about her past encounters with Coberger in an interview with News Nation on Tuesday night, one day after news broke that her former student will plead guilty to the slayings that shocked the nation. He was polite, he was respectful, intense, and curious, Ramsland told journalist Brian Enton. There really wasn't anything that stood out to me, she admitted, noting that she didn't observe any quote-unquote red flags that are typical among psychopaths that she studied, including the BTK killer, Dennis Rader. Now, for those of you who are interested in K-pop, I know it's BTS, but I always get BTS and BTK mixed up. So I'm like, are, yeah, that being said, I do know there's a difference. That is okay. I do that all the time. Now, Ramsland served as an advisor and instructor when he started on the forensic track in fall of 2018. She said she never suspected that he would go down such a dark path and figured that he was just like any other student interested in forensic science as a possible career. Now, when authorities arrested Coberger for the grisly, unalivings in 2022, she tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but abandoned all hope when he presented a flimsy alibi. I was completely floored. I didn't believe it. And his demeanor we saw on media, that he was confident that he was going to be able to prove his innocence, so I wanted to wait and see. She highlighted that he really should have known what he presented wasn't a real alibi, especially after her instruction on the topic years prior. Now, Coberger originally presented his alibi in August 2023 that he'd been out for a drive in an unspecified location at the time of the murders. Now, he also outright ignored Idaho's statute, which provided him or required him to provide names and addresses for witnesses who could corroborate his whereabouts. Ramsland, who's published 73 books and authored over 2,500 articles, still not as many as Steve Gosney, allegedly in Minecraft. I don't know the actual count on his, actual articles written, but I feel like Gosney and her could probably be equally matched. She admitted that a subject like Coberger would be right up her alley, and she would be interested in using him to study developmental trajectories and other triggers. If he wanted to do that, I know he has the intellectual capacity to do it, to be self-reflective and think how his life came to this. No, what you are doing if you study him is stroking his ego. If you go in there, it's going to be the closest thing to Hannibal Lecter that we have in real life. My read, again, being very novice to this case, is that he would revel in the power and, attention that he would get in order to be the subject of one of his, one of the rock stars of forensic psychology, to be investing and focusing on him. I think the greatest punishment would be if everyone just ignored the hell out of him. I have a feeling he's kind of like Lori Vallow in that he wants the attention, he wants the perceived power that he is going to get from this if he does become a test subject. That being said, we do need to study these people. So it is, a delicate balancing act of learning different things from these particular psychos, allegedly in Minecraft, and stroking their egos and giving them a sort of dark glamour. Now, like many, including the victims' families, Ramsland is grasping at straws, but hopes Coberger will give her the opportunity to uncover more during his likely life term in prison. I wanted to understand how he's completely able to fool me. This just speaks to me that she sees him as an intellectual curiosity, and is more upset that he was able to fool her, a master of psychology. But again, I know it's a catch-22. We have to study these people, but we also don't want to give them attention. So, it is one of those things. Now, Coberger is expected to take a plea deal today to avoid the, government sanctioned firing squad. In the slayings of Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernoodle, and Madison Mogan. And I hope at the end of this, as I always hope with every case, that the victims will speak louder than the perpetrator, that we will remember the lives and, youth and innocence of the victims rather than focusing on the dark glamour and the sort of, deep dive into Coberger that I know we need to do, but I do hope that the victims' families get to do an impact statement, which, will be terribly difficult to listen to, but also gives reverence, respect, and acknowledgement of the victims' lives. And I do feel like sometimes when we're in the trial, trials, it is, easy to get bogged down in procedure and strategery and all that. But remembering the victims and remembering their lives prior to this is important to me. And I hope that does happen in the following days to weeks when the families are ready to share with us. It's, a very a public case, and I can't imagine having, your lives sort of picked apart in the media and then having to share these precious memories with the rest of us. Well, I don't know what to make of this, but I don't have any pearl earrings and I'm married, so I think I'm safe. Wearing this specific, accessory may prevent from dating women or men from dating women, and they don't even realize it. Again, I could probably, Mr. Mo could probably not tell you what piece of jewelry I've ever worn in my entire life other than my wedding ring he got me. I doubt that he knows, what earrings I'm wearing unless I point them out. Now, social media has a theory that pearl earrings repel men. Pearl jewelry often symbolizes beauty, class, and sophistication. Now, for those exact views, single girls on TikTok are ditching the feminine pieces because they think wearing them is preventing them from meeting eligible bachelors. No, it might be your personality. I don't think it's your jewelry, but that's just me. Now, to justify why today's generation of men don't know how to pursue women, TikTok created the pearl earring theory, which is that women who wear this type of accessory are viewed as intimidating, expensive, or high maintenance, all qualities that scare away potential bachelors. Add pearl to the list of red flags men are trying to avoid in today's dating world. Y'all, I can tell you that for the love of all that is Cheetos, I am so glad to be married right now. I can't even imagine or fathom trying to date in current world. So I doubt that pearl earrings are going to stop you from meeting a man, catching a man, or anything else. Learn to make a meatloaf. I'm telling y'all, forget the earrings, forget, the makeup, the eyebrows, whatever it is you're trying to get a man, make a meatloaf. I'll give y'all the recipe. You know what? Single women of TikTok, I will go ahead and make a separate video in my, how to make a damn meatloaf, case. Honest to goodness, make a meatloaf, some baked potatoes, and, something for dessert like brownies. It's easy. But honest to God, that's how I hooked Mr. Mo. And I have a theory that I could have been wearing pearl earrings and a tiara and he would have been okay with it as long as I made him meatloaf. So that being said, I'm not of this generation, so I have no idea. But I doubt it's the pearl earrings, ladies. It's more what comes out of your mouth hole. Because from what I've seen on TikTok, every single one of you is looking for a 6'2" billionaire who has no children, no strings attached, and wants to treat you like a GD princess. Well, if you want princess, treatment, you have to, treat your man like a prince. And that's the part that a lot of these women don't get. It's a give and take. It's, this is not, you're a princess, you get to take, and the man just gives. There has to be a give and take. And for whatever reason, we've forgotten that. Well, Diddy has a partial verdict. I don't know. I was too busy trying to detox from all the things I'm learning from the Stefan Stern case. So when the Diddy thing popped up, Hagatha the Lake was like, "We're done. We'll figure out tomorrow what happened." Jurors at the bombshell trial against Sean Diddy Combs reached a partial verdict Tuesday, but won't be able to deliver their decision yet. Now, the panel of 8 men and 4 women was ordered to keep deliberating by a Manhattan federal court judge, Aaron Sarubian, after reporting it had reached a verdict on 4 out of the 5 counts, but couldn't agree on the top charge of racketeering conspiracy. Now, the shocking announcement came after some 12 hours of deliberations. Wimps, go full Karen Reed. We want 36 hours, which would continue on Wednesday. We've reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, the jury's note said, referring to the 2 trafficking charges and 2 counts of transportation to engage in smonstitution, the oldest business in in the history of mankind, if you will. We have not reached a verdict on count 1 because we have unpersuadable jurors on both sides, the note noted, referring to the charge that falls under racketeering influence corrupt organizations, or RICO, usually used to pursue, mob and drug cartels. Now, the Bad Boy record founder is accused of leading a criminal enterprise for 2 decades and allegedly plotting to commit arson, kidnapping, trafficking, and other offenses. Now, Combs has already pled guilty and appeared pled not guilty, sorry. Not. Very important. Not guilty. But did appear forlorn after 7 lawyers huddled around him before the note was read to the courtroom. Now, both prosecutors and Combs' lawyer, Mark Angofino, told the judge they didn't want him to accept a partial verdict. It's our request that you tell the jury to keep deliberating and don't take the partial verdict, Angofino urged the judge. Now, the judge agreed not to force the jurors to deliver their partial verdict, instead telling them, "I ask at this time that you keep deliberating." Now, the jurors did start deliberating on Monday and almost immediately sent a note saying that they were concerned that one of the members of the jury, a foreign-born Manhattanite, wouldn't or couldn't follow the judge's instructions. Now, on Tuesday, the jury asked for portions of Combs' ex-partner Casey Ventura's testimony to be provided to them, including her recounting the infamous caught-on-camera assault by the music mogul in Los Angeles in 2016. Other portions of Ventura's testimony the jurors requested included her recalling of a 2013 incident where Combs accused her of taking not street-legal pharmaceuticals and booted her from a yacht at the Cannes Film Festival, later threatening to release videos of her in flagrante, just naked time videos of her with male escorts during freak-offs. Now, the case largely centers around the testimony of Ventura, who claimed that Combs repeatedly laid hands on her and forced her to partake in these freak-offs. And I think that this is going to be a hard case. Again, the feds generally don't go after you unless they have all of the information, but juries are wild. You can never predict what they're going to do. So I don't know if we're going to get a hung jury or a mistrial out of this if there are jurors that will not be persuaded to either side. Now, in the federal system, I don't know if you get I always want to say a Rodriguez case, but I know it's a TUI instruction, so where you have to, tell the jury to go back even if you're deadlocked and try to make a decision. I'm not sure the procedural kind of steps if they are deadlocked, but it does look like this jury might be deadlocked, especially if you have, 2 jurors that are on completely opposing sides. Alan charge. Thank you, Lexi. I always want to say like a Dukas Nukem. I know they're wrong. I need to work on remembering stuff. But that's a chore for another day, just like my laundry. Well, it looks like one family might be getting some answers. A car was found underwater in at Island Beach with human remains inside and may be linked to a 15-year-old missing persons case. I, Again, when I see these headlines, I always hope that the family will get some answers, in so much as that can be a comfort. It doesn't erase the grief, but at least you know what happened. A dive team has found human remains inside a covered car underwater at Long Beach Island, a discovery they think might be linked to a 15-year-old missing person case. Dan Pritchard was driving his partner Bill McIntosh, who traveled the world looking for missing people, and found the remains inside a submerged Chrysler PT Cruiser. Okay, if you guys know me, you know that my dream car is a purple PT Cruiser or teal with flames on it, to make it go faster. I know it is one of the world's ugliest cars, but I rather liked it. That being said, when I was 16 and I was just starting to drive, and she asked me to pick out a car in a parking lot that I liked, I picked out a Pinto. So I may have anti-car picking skills. I may be able to pick out the worst cars ever and fall in love with them. But they were able to find this PT Cruiser at Cedar Beach in Mount Sinai on Monday, prompting an investigation by the Suffolk County Police. Now, the pair believes the remains are Long Island native Robert Long, who went missing in December 2010 at the age of 62 while on a run to a local liquor store in a vehicle that fits the same sort of description. Now, it's obviously a great relief when you identify the vehicle that you're looking for, Pritchard told a local station, 1010 Wins. It's satisfying to know that we can give, as hard as the answers are, answers to the family. Now, the pair used kayaks equipped with a special side scan sonar device to help look underwater, with McIntosh telling the outlet they had 4 locations to check, and Cedar Beach just happened to be the first on their list. Now, after several hours of searching for Long, the pair appeared to find human bones in the car and immediately called the police, who conducted their own diving search. Now, they later were able to get the vehicle out of the water with a crane and confirmed that there were human remains inside, according to the police. We started this morning with the Marine Bureau divers going into the water at low tide, Suffolk police said. We examined the interior of the vehicle and tried to recover what they could from the vehicle. The remains have yet to be identified, and Suffolk County Medical Examiner will determine the identity of the remains. Now, this is probably going to require a forensic anthropologist, given the amount of time, and I don't mean to be crass. There might only be the bones and things left and not a lot of soft tissue. So a forensic anthropologist will be able to look at those remains and try to find an identity. I'm not a scienceologist, but I would imagine that 15 years underwater would leave less remains and make it more difficult to identify someone. There's a missing person who we suspect this driver to be, Detective Lieutenant Kevin Breyer said Tuesday afternoon. We have made a courtesy notification to the family, but we do not have any definitive sort of identification. Now, Pritchard and McIntosh plan to spend the next few months scouring waterways up and down the East Coast in search of sunken vehicles, including several on Long Island. They believe that these searches could recover remains of up to 50 people. The discovery at Cedar Beach marked the 3rd vehicle that they've been able to locate during this trip. This is the 16th trip for McIntosh since he got involved in 2020, the diver said. When you find a person, you bring them home and you're able to close a chapter in another person's life and family's life, McIntosh told Newsday. We give them hope. So what an incredible use of their talents. I have thought about getting a kayak because we have lakes near our house, but I realize that I would not be able to get in or out of one with any sort of grace and would probably capsize myself. But I have always wanted to do that in paddleboarding, but again, balance and gravity are not my friends. If they ever do become my friends, I'm doing all the things. Now, I do have a special and kind of heartbreaking Lord Chippy segment to do. So I'm going to, go ahead and call my co-host and then give you kind of the skinny, on why I chose these stories. And I love that I didn't have this plan, so it's not as, it's not as polished and professional as I'd like.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Now, this first story, I debated as to whether I was going to show it because it does tangentially involve another creator I deeply respect and one whom I've, looked at his streams. And you guys know, if you don't, Aussie Overlord put out a stream last night that was very important. Unfortunately, his daughter was at this daycare, and I did struggle as to whether I was going to put cover this with him being involved in it. But I want to get as many eyes on this as possible. The fact that this has touched someone I know and respect completely makes this a different ball game. If you guys, are subscribed to Aussie Overlord, give him support. His family is having to deal with something that is every parent's nightmare. And the fact that it was able to happen is terrifying. An Australian daycare worker is charged with 70 CA abusive offensive, so child grossness offenses. 1,200 children will have to be tested for diseases. One of the alleged victims was a 5-month-old, a flippin' flapjack 5-month-old. There are times where I wish that Lord Chippy wasn't a euphemism, and this is one of them. Allegedly in Minecraft. A childcare worker in Melbourne, Australia was charged on May 2025 for 70 alleged cases of child grossness, including the worst possible thing that could happen to a child. The victims were between 5 months old and 2 years old, Nine News has reported. This monster's name is Joshua Dale Brown. He's 26, and he was accused of SAing at least 8 children between April 2022 and January 2023, and for possessing child grossness materials. Now, among the charges were actual rape of a child under 12 and SA of a child under 16, according to Nine News. Now, Brown is believed to have acted alone. His 8 alleged victims attended Creative Gardens Early Learning Centre in southwest Melbourne, where he was working at the time, according to Sydney Morning Herald. Now, he was reportedly arrested on May 12th after police allegedly found him to be in possession of child grossness material. While it was not disclosed how Brown's other crimes came to light, Victoria Police Acting Commander Janet Stevenson said it was, quote, not sparked by a complaint to the police, Nine News reported. This matter is being investigated as a priority. Well, fucking thank you. I mean, yeah, it should be a priority. Here's my problem, here's my rage, is they always send out some PR woman to say, we're doing the best we can, give us time. When all I want to do is hear that we've got this monster in this, we're going to put things in place so this never effing happens again. I don't want to hear your PR spiel. There are real people, and real, people and families are having to deal with asking children, questions that they should never have to ask, explaining things that they should never have to explain. And all you can say is it's a priority. I get that there are procedures, but it is so incredibly just rage inducing that this is all we get. Now, he is currently being held in police custody and has yet to enter a plea to the charges. He is due to appear in court on September 15th. Now, Brown had worked at 20 child care centers across Melbourne between January 2017 and May 2025 on a valid working with children check, a compulsory screening that is, for those in child-related work. His check has since been canceled. The Victorian government published a list of childcare centres where Brown had previously worked, ranging from Melbourne's western suburb to Geelong, a port outside of Melbourne. He may have held other roles throughout his employment, though. Now, Stevenson told the Australian media that the decision to publish Brown's name and employment history was an unusual one, but necessary to allow parents to be informed. On top of his current charges, police are also investigating other allegations of, CA by Brown at other daycare centers, particularly one in Eston, northwest Melbourne. Now, due to his extensive childcare employment history, local authorities have contacted about 2,600 families of children potentially previously under Brown's care at childcare centers on the published list. Of these, 1,200 children were recommended for free infectious disease testing. Now, it's not confirmed whether Brown tested positive for any STIs. Again, publish all of his crap. Name and shame this man. Make other grossness people deathly afraid to do this stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, and I know this is a little bit more personal because I know someone who's affected by this. But how many parents are sitting there beating themselves up because they didn't see this monster, because now they have to talk to their children about this stuff? And the sad and disgusting truth is that monsters wear human faces. And if they're not smart, they're cunning. And they're able to slip through and get under our guard. So my heart goes out to every family, and I do encourage you guys, if you're on X, if you're on YouTube, to drop some support for Aussie Overlord, because I can't imagine, I'm imagining myself in this situation, and I know I would be beating myself up for not, picking up on red flags or protecting my baby. And the sad thing is that is never on the victims or the people affected. It is always on the monster. But because the monsters generally don't have consciences, we feel it. They don't. And, giving support to people going through hard things and naming and shaming these monsters is part of why I built this channel, or semi-professional hobby, whichever you'd like to call it. Now, Victoria's Chief Health Officer, Dr. Christian McGrath, told Guardian Australia that there was no broader health risk and potential infections could be treated with antibiotics. He also said there was a low risk of children being infected, but authorities wanted to provide assurance to parents about the well-being and health of their children. Now, affected families were also provided with dedicated advice and a support hotline. Don't you have victim advocates? I mean, I don't know how Australia works, but I'm guessing it's like the UK in that you pay an exorbitant amount of taxes to have some fairly good services, and you're telling me that they don't have witness victim advocates dedicated for these families? I don't get it. But they do get a hotline. Now, Victoria's Premier, Jacinta Allen, was sickened by the allegations. They're shocking and distressing, and my heart just breaks for the families who are living every parent's worst nightmare, she said, according to Guardian Australia. Allen promised to review working with children checks and introduce changes from August 2025 to tighten screenings. Victoria's Minister for Children, Lizzie Blanthorne, said that stronger and mandatory child safety measures had been passed by Australia's education ministers, but the actions weren't taken quickly enough. Now, one parent at the Creative Garden Early Learning Center told the Sydney Morning Herald that she was mad when she received authorities' letters alleging that there had been CA, as she has seen Brown multiple times. She was most concerned about what could have happened behind closed doors. As a parent, that will haunt me forever. And again, to those parents, I'm a small channel. Y'all are probably not going to see me. But from one parent to another, don't take on this guilt. This is all this monster's fault. And I know you're going to have conversations you never wanted to have with your children. But don't take on this guilt. This is not yours to bear. That is all his. And I'm so daggone tired of victims and, these families taking on this guilt and all this, pain when the monsters never feel any damn thing. So I'm glad that they changed the standards and everything post, this particular situation. But to alert people with a damn text, how dare they? How dare they? That being said, I am not. Go over to Aussie Overlord for more information about the legal system in Australia. I am woefully ignorant as to whether this will get more publication until his trial, if anything will be given to the public until a verdict is, found. There are different publishing and media restrictions in the UK, so I would imagine that Australia would be somewhat similar, but I'm not sure. But more importantly, give him some encouragement, kind words, and keep him in your thoughts and prayers if that's something that you guys do. But more broadly, all the families that are affected by this, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. In Australia, I'm counting on you to do the right thing and give these parents all the support they need and, tools to deal with this absolutely shocking level of crime that this man was allowed to do. This is kind of a less evil, but still absolutely grotesque story that requires Lord Chippy. Snapped. A man allegedly red-rummed a flight attendant roommate and threw her off a bridge after she recorded him. Well, that mugshot is Gary Busey. Gary Busey is just absolutely bereft that you have beat him in the "I would like to look homeless" mugshot. A Texas man is behind bars after admittedly unaliving his roommate and throwing her body off a bridge, according to Lone Star State Police. Now, Dennis William Day, 66, stands accused of one count of murder, according to the Fort Worth Police Department. Now, the charge stems from a month-long disappearance of Rana Nofal Saluri, 47, who was reported missing by a coworker earlier this month, after she had not been seen alive since early March. Now, during that wide gulf, however, was partially explained by the victim herself taking a leave of absence earlier this year, according to an arrest affidavit obtained by the Dallas-based Fox affiliate KDFY. Or W, sorry. Now, a concerned coworker said that she left her job as a flight attendant for minor surgery and was supposed to return March 31st, but she never did. A conversation on March 19th seemed to end abruptly right in the middle, even when the coworker, was talking, and she did tell that to investigators. Police began working the case as a missing person and immediately had Day on their radar. No offense, but I have eyeballs and I'd suspect the roommate. Also, he's the closest person to her and has the most opportunity to fiddle or, red rum her. That being said, he does look like, the mugshot doesn't lie. I'm just saying, if I saw him at Walmart, I'm not going down that aisle until he's out of it. And I'm going to assume he has one of those white vans with locks all over it. I'm just saying. I am just saying. When you are able to beat Gary Busey in "I would like to look crazy" and not so much approachable, there you go. I mean, that's a feat. Now, that's because the coworker had told law enforcement that the pair had lived together for roughly a year. She also provided investigators with a video dated March 19th, purporting to show, excuse me, Rana. I was like, I can't say her last name, so I'll just say her first name, and I forgot it because, well, ADHD. Now, it did show Rana and her force multiplier in sight. In the video, a man's voice is heard off camera shouting. Travel receipts for the victim also show a strange state of affairs. Rana had not traveled on an airplane for either work or pleasure since October 2024. A supervisor queried by investigators said that not showing up and not calling was unlike her, having worked as a flight attendant for some 5 years. In May, officers towed her vehicle from Day's residence on Grant Circle in eastern Fort Worth. Day, for his part, allegedly said that the vehicle had been parked for roughly 2 months, as long as he hadn't seen his roommates. The defendant also said he moved some of her belongings into storage and did not express knowledge or concerns about her whereabouts. As it turned out, the brand new car had been purchased about 2 weeks before it was abandoned, and that heightened suspicions, because she's not going to leave after she just bought a brand new car and take it with her. Now, as it turned on June 10th, during a welfare check, Day described Raina as a longtime friend. Now, the defendant allegedly confirmed that she was living with him, but insisted that he hadn't heard or seen her in 3 months. On June 18th, police did a search warrant on Raina's cell phone. The last phone call she made was on March 21st at 3:45 p.m. Finally, her cellular phone pinged from a tower the last time around 3:52 p.m., and she was roughly 5 miles east of her home. On June 23rd, police met with the defendant at his residence, where he again claimed absolutely no knowledge or participation in, Raina's disappearance. But he did consent to a search. As a result, investigators obtained video surveillance footage from the night of March 21st that led to his arrest. Around 10 p.m. that night, Day can be seen dragging what appears to be her body from the home into the backyard. Now, that's where the clip cuts off, and it doesn't record for several days after that. When confronted with the evidence, he allegedly confessed. He said he realized Raina was recording him and had threatened to call the police when he snapped, according to police. He then, gave her a, life-ending neck hug. Now, Day told the police that happened on the kitchen floor. After that, he took her body outside, disconnected the surveillance system once he realized that it was still plugged in. Later, he said he loaded her into a black trash bin. Now, her remains were found over a bridge in Bowie, a small town located about 70 miles northwest of Fort Worth. As for her cell phone, Day allegedly said he tossed it into a river within city limits. He also gave investigators the location of Raina's force multiplier, which has since been recovered. Now, he is currently being detained at the Tarrant County Jail on $200,000 bond. Don't let him out. Also, I'm not trying to be judgy, but look, sir, you confess, so I'm going to be judgy. I doubt you have $200K or 10% thereof just lying around. But those were the Lord Chippy. Again, give Aussie Overlord some support and keep the families that were affected and the family of Raina in your heart. Learning what happened to her, I can imagine, is heartbreaking. But now they finally have some answers and can give her a proper memorial, which is a cold comfort, but just absolutely heartbreaking. Well, in culty news, Michigan might be doing something right for a change. Michigan's Attorney General said she's investigating the company known for promoting twin flame romances. Now, Shizzy dug into this. This is all the cray and all the cray-cray. I mean, Taylor Swift could not have written a more crazy thing. But it looks like the light is finally getting shined on this particular romantical, community and or I'm going to say allegedly a cult. Now, state and federal authorities are investigating an online company that pledges to help people find their eternal love. Michigan's Attorney General said it on Tuesday. Search warrants were executed at two homes in northern Michigan's Leland, Leland, I have probably butchered that, Leland County, where Twinflame Universe is based, Attorney General Dana Nessel said. Now, Twinflames, which is operated by Jeff and Shalia Devine, has been the subject of unflattering documentaries on both Netflix and Amazon Prime. Lee Lanaw, thank you, Tammy. Now it offers to help people find a lifelong romantical partner, a twin flame, if you will, through a spiritual journey. Well, unless it contains ayahuasca or psilocybin, I don't want to go on your spiritual journey. Also, I found my twin flame. He annoys me a lot, and I annoy him, but I think that's part of marriage. We just forgive each other for being human. Now, Nessel said there are allegations that Twin Flames exerts coercive control over its members across the U.S. through illegal acts. She did not want to disclose what investigators were seeking with search warrants, but the Associated Press sent a message seeking comment through the Twin Flames website. Now, this is going to be a much longer article, so I did want to give you a bit of a tease, mostly because I didn't look at how long the article was. But I will be doing a full video about this. This is definitely something that I think needs to have a light shown on it. A lot of us, are lonely, and the COOF did nothing to help us create and forge new relationships. And I can see to finding that one person that really gets you. But I think people need to be very realistic about what marriage is. Marriage is two very different people with very different backgrounds, trying to compromise and find a way to live with each other. You're not always going to, connect or be able to communicate in the right way. Life is going to change things. You're going to grow together, hopefully, and you have to be able to talk about hard things and meet your partner halfway. You're not ever going to meet a person who totally gets you without you being able to explain things. No one's a mind reader. So I get the idea, the romanticizing of finding your right person. But the truth is, love is a choice and hard work. It's not, you find this mystical person and, you never have to work at it. Love is work. It is a choice. It is putting down your petty irritations and giving the other person grace, or trying to meet them halfway, even if you maybe don't agree with them, but you respect their, decision making. That's what love is. That's not it's not a twin flame thing. That being said, maybe they're a cult, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't dug into it. I will tell you that the chick lady of the Twin Flames looks like a grown-up. If y'all have ever seen the meme of the little brunette child in front of a burning house with that smugly little smile holding a lighter, I don't know why, but she is like the adult version of that. So she was already on my don't trust list simply because she reminds me of an arsonist meme of a little child. I don't know how I profile people, but she just struck me as having some Manson lamps, if I'm honest. Now, this is an interesting one because it makes me wonder if I may have this because I get tipsy after one drink. That being said, probably not. I just don't drink a lot. A tennis pro got intoxicated after one drink, and it was actually a sign of something quite lethal. Simon Bowler says an invasive melanoma, which started as a lump on his neck, was initially dismissed by doctors as a harmless cyst. Now, a tennis teacher who said he could down a bottle of wine without feeling intoxicated started getting drunk after just one glass. It was the only symptom, he said, of a devastating invasive skin cancer. Simon Bowler, 50, says that in October 2023, he started to notice his tolerance for alcohol had significantly diminished. Well, I never had a tolerance, so I'll be in the clear. I could usually drink a bottle of wine and not feel anything. I don't know that that's a talent, but have at it, sir. But a week after he realized he was getting tipsy quickly, Bowler, who hails from the English village of Thorley, said the lump had simply or suddenly appeared on his neck and was accompanied by what he described as a strange head fuzz and blurry vision. Doctors dismissed his lump as a harmless cyst, but Bowler was unconvinced and returned to his doctors for more tests. That's when an ultrasound discovered the devastating news, which Bowler was told while he was driving to work. He asked if I was sitting down, and I told him I was driving, and he told me to pull over. He said, adding, that's when I knew it was bad news, and he said he suspected cancer. Now, the tumor, he said, was melanoma, one of the most lethal forms of skin cancer. While skin cancer is the most common type of cancer in the U.S., according to the American Cancer Society, melanoma accounts for only about 1% of those cases. Still, it causes a large majority of the deaths from skin cancer. In February 2024, he underwent a successful surgery to remove the tumors and began a year-long course of immunotherapy. 9 months later, he knew something was wrong. The symptoms he had experienced when the lump was first discovered returned. To be honest, I didn't feel right in my head and started having blurred vision again. I couldn't switch off at night. The cancer had unfortunately spread to his brain. I had 1 or 2 minuscule melanoma cells in my brain. Consultants reassured me that following my neck procedure, this wasn't uncommon, and he was prescribed radiation-targeted treatment to zap it out. And, you know, to those of you who have battled the big C, I know some of your stories and I don't know others. Cancer sucks. It sucks all the balls. And I hope that instead of learning, you know, if squirrels are gay or, you know, can, a shrimp run on, a treadmill, could we possibly find some answers to cure this? Could we possibly find medicines that don't have devastating side effects? Could we demand more from Big Pharma? I don't need another 27 things, for basically they make a medicine, then an accompanying medicine to deal with the side effects. How about you just make a medicine that works that doesn't, make you crazy and tired and dry mouth? Or could some of the side effects, I don't know, be good stuff like, oh my God, my boobs turned back to 18, or oh, I lost all my cellulite, or I grew taller and got a 6-pack. I mean, could we get some good side effects for the love of all that is Cheetos? And it just feels like every time. So I'll give you guys a personal story. My current doctor is leaving the practice, and I need to set up a new meeting with another doctor so he can kind of learn all of my, craziness. So I'm talking to his, his scheduler, and she's like, well, do you have any chronic issues? And I said, well, I am diagnosed with CRPS. And she's like, do you know what that means? And I was like, it's, complex regional pain syndrome. It used to be known as RSD, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy. And she's like, oh, can you spell that? I was like, you have asked the wrong chica how to spell things, because I don't know. But every time I give Western medicine a chance, it feels like they just, to borrow a UK phrase, bugger it all up. So I may be in a bit of a dislike relationship with Western medicine right at the moment. ATM, I'm pretty disappointed at them. And for those of you who battled the big C, you guys know that sometimes the treatment is worse than the disease. And I am just so proud of your bravery for walking through it and your family for their support. And hopefully, everyone remains Big C free and can get a healthy, happy life after dealing with both the disease and the unfortunate side effects of the treatment. He is doing okay. He has been undergoing successful, immunotherapy and seems to be doing better now. He does have a GoFundMe that continues. He does need continuous sort of checks and payments. Now, I am a bit confused since he is in the UK if this isn't covered, but he is still struggling to, be a tennis instructor. As you can imagine, he doesn't have the energy or the physicality to do it. So I believe the GoFundMe is more to keep his family afloat. Sorry, Dan Davis. I am not, well, I am responsible for any spit takes, but I try not to make them. Now, y'all, I don't know, but this just seems like the start of a snapped episode to me. I mean, kudos to the families that can do this, but I couldn't imagine doing this, sharing a house with my ex and their new partner so we can like Brady Bunch the family together. That's a negative night rider for me, just to be honest. Divorced couples are now living together with their new partners to help take care of the children and save money. That's again a negative night rider to me. This just sounds like the start of a snapped episode. Now, three is not a crowd to Megan Mayer, her husband Michael Flores, and her ex-husband Tyler. It's just the smartest way to co-parent. But Gen Zers aren't some trendy throuple. No, Tyler and Michelle are not brother, or Michael are not brother husbands, or some other twist on sister wives that share Megan like a family style entree. Who the hell wrote this? Family style entree. She just lays on the counter. She's like, who's going to be next? Instead, the trio is among a growing number of nonconformist parents who would, rather than divvying up mommy and daddy duties after divorce, they're putting their past problems aside and happily cohabitating for the benefit of their children and their wallets. Or you could work on your marriages before you got divorced. I mean, I don't know. Look, I got two marriages. I throw no shade. So, but I'm just saying this would piss me off to no end. I mean, you already got divorced because you could not stand or could not deal with each other, and now you want to add other people to your past dysfunctional relationship. It just seems like a terrible idea to me. Now, the platonic threesome lives together, rearing their children, Megan and Tyler's 3-year-old daughter, as well as her 18-month-old son, Michael. It's a lifestyle of convenience, Megan, 25, said as a stay-at-home mom from South Carolina. It brings my daughter's parents into the same house again, and financially it just makes sense. Now she and Michael, a project manager, save about $1,000 a month by splitting. English is my first and only language, and I rarely understand it. Their 1,800 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with Tyler, 26, who works in law enforcement. While it works for this happily unorthodox family, Carrie Moore, an NYC relationship therapist of 20 years, warns that economic, albeit atypical, arrangements is not for everyone. No, it would not be for me. That being said, if, and this is a big if, because everyone is human, and I can imagine jealousies, past hurts, and a lot of things complicating this. If they are able to love their children more than they hate their ex, and they're able to do and be around each other without, all of that negativity coming in, it's okay. It wouldn't be my tea. I would be expecting a daggone, call to police at any moment. But if it works for them, I'm not going to cast judgment. That being said, I'll probably see these people on one of my episodes here lately. Not going to lie. It seems like a terrible idea, but if you're able to get over all of your hangups, that's fine. Well, are you guilty of this? Because you might be rewiring your brain. In our final story, here's how you're screwing your mental synapses up by watching things at 2 times speed. I mean, honestly, with the amount of things I have to go through, I often listen at 1.5 or 2 times speed. If you are part of the fast and the curious, if you're a big fan of watching videos on the internet like YouTube or Masterclass, chances are you've grown accustomed to listen to people speak at Looney Tunes speed. Speed watching has become an increasingly common way to consume content since it enables the assimilation of the information in half or less of the time. But if you've ever wondered about the effect it's having on your brain, an international team of researchers set out to determine just what watching videos at 2 times speed does. The group examined 24 studies that generally involved placing participants into 2 groups. In one, they listened to a video at normal speed, and in another, the same video was presented at 1.25, 1.5, 2 times, and 2.5 times normal speed. I mean, I don't know. 2 times is kind of funny, but I don't know if I could do 2.5. I don't think any would actually, any of the information would actually get in. Now, afterward, both groups were asked to complete tasks and assess how well they retained the video's content. While not much of a difference was recorded at 1.5, the memory retention definitely took a hit at 2 times speed and above. The incoming information is stored temporarily in a memory system called working memory. Oh dear God, we're not talking about the C list and how long to die in cold. Marcus Pierce, who organized the cognitive science department at Queen Mary University in London, wrote this week in The Conversation. This allows chunks of information to be transformed, combined, and manipulated into a form that's ready to transfer into long-term memory. Now, Pierce noted that working memory can only process a certain amount of information at a time, and too much can lead to cognitive overload and loss of information. Now, the scientific takeaway is to stick to 1.25 or 1.5 speed, especially for unfamiliar and complex, dense content. Now, these findings were recently published in the Journal of Educational Psychology. It is tempting to think that we can consume content today and that it only affects young developing minds, but researchers suggest this is otherwise. Adults aged 61 to 94 were more impacted by the faster speeds than those of 18 to 36. In a 2023 study, it found that older adults saw a 31% drop in understanding at just 1.5 speed compared to younger peers who maintained over 90% comprehension at 2 times speed. Now, what's unclear at this point is whether the issue is age or practice, meaning that younger adults are better at consuming content at faster speeds because their minds are more pliable, or is it simply because they've trained their brains to, kind of take in this information this way? Limited research indicates that, sadly, the answer is, older adults may not be able to improve their skills by watching, more content. Younger brains are simply more adaptable, though studies do suggest that older adults can train to get better, even if they require more time and likely hit a plateau sooner. If older adults want to rewire their brain for speed watching, a deliberate program of gradual speed training, retention checks, and cognitive boosting is a promising route. Netflix, who drew ire 5 years ago when they introduced the controversial feature that allows viewers to watch their content at 1.5 speed, is definitely, it was ahead of its time. That being said, Netflix, could we possibly, and I know I'm a giant nerd, but could we possibly get Stranger Things back? Also, screw you for not renewing the Dark Crystal, series. those puppeteers and, scene and set creators worked their asses off. And to the point where I was willing to watch, a show based on a movie that scarred me to ever loving heckin' back when I was a kid. Whoever is still afraid of birds because of Skeksis, raise your hand. That being said, I'm also afraid of the governor of New York because she does look like a Skeksis. That being said, I don't know how many gelflings she's responsible for draining. That is the show this morning. Thank you so much for hanging out and sharing your morning with me. I have you redirected so you can just tappity tap tap the notification spot or alarm for when the Brian Coberger, hearing is going to happen. I will be working on making some newsy nuggets. I do have a nerdy nugget out. If you like, virology or any sort of, biology stuff, it's for you. I don't quite understand what I'm saying and I butcher Latin, but I am nerdy and love those kind of nuggets. But I will be doing another, couple things. And remember, have a wonderful day. Enjoy outside or inside if you're an inside cat. And remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because monsters wear human faces and sometimes we just don't know if we're talking to one. I'll chat at you guys later. Have a great day.